What's up, everybody? It is the Power Ranking Show, aka the Power Rankings Podcast. I am Elliot Harrison, your host, and I'm joined by Marcus Mosher. That's at Marcus Mosher, who hosts the most successful Cowboys podcast there is. He does a slew of different things, including putting his same jerseys back up, which I
that bothers you, doesn't it? I mean, we only said one podcast, right? We didn't say like for the rest of the season, right?
Yes. Marcus also is very much a Johnny Cash man, and he really likes cats. And I'm not going to complete the dating profile there because he's married, but there you go. I don't know if he likes to play Clue. That was
so you're saying that like if I had a Tinder, that's the first two things I would put: Johnny Cash, cats. I don't think, man, my chances would not be great. Just
when Tinder first came out, I came out with an idea. I was going to call it Fender. Or Fander, and it would be for fantasy football, and you could swipe left or right on guys on the waiver wire. I don't know.
Don't give away those $1 million ideas for anything. You know?
Listen, don't start.
Look at already. Johnny Cash and cats at the bottom of our little power ranking. Saying how cool. Thank you, Courtney. Very cool.
Yes, and I was going to say Courtney and Herbert and Eric from the Brinks TV crew joined us there on the video side, and we of course do audio wherever you download your podcast. We pick games every Thursday, so here we are. We have week 5 games to pick, and I usually let Marcus go through them. Now I don't ever look at the lines. Marcus does not like it when I look through the lines. He likes for me to guess sometimes, and just he likes for me to not know. Plus, I think he wants to be the more intelligent of the two of us. So this is his way. So just appease him. That's all I would say to all of you guys. Or if you need a synonym, pacify. Okay, so
sure.
Go ahead.
I said let's just get to the games, Elliot, because it's a really, really fun Thursday night game.
Yes.
I feel like it's too good of a matchup to put on Thursday night football, but that's besides the point.
I'm going to try to read my notes too.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. So
okay.
I'm ready.
Los Angeles Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks in an NFC West matchup. The Rams are 1.5-point favorites on the road in this game.
I like them. I wrote down, because I didn't have the line. I wrote down Rams by 3. That's how I see this game. So I'm going to like that line, and I'm going to, and that's a weird 1.5 is always a weird line to me. By the way, it's like, what's the point? Just either do 3 or do even. That's just my little take, but you know.
I think the Rams are going to win this game. However,
by 1.5. Sorry.
Yes, by exactly 1.5. No, if you're a bettor, I would stay away from this game and just enjoy it, because Thursday night games typically are pretty weird, especially divisional Thursday games. Just sit back, enjoy it, because this is probably the best Thursday night game we're going to get all season long.
What's interesting about this game to me is the Rams have been absolutely awful on third down on defense. And the Seahawks have been absolutely awful on third down on offense. So something's got to give. Somebody's got to make it rain, as they say, as the kids say. So I think third down, I've told you, I think it's the most important down in football for a quarterback, but we both agree first down is the most important, I think, holistically when you're looking at a team's offensive performance. But tonight, that's going to be key. And as you said, Thursday night, anything can happen. We've seen some wild, weird Rams Seahawks games, starting with the last time they played. I still don't see Seattle winning this game. And I think it's just for the most simplistic reason ever, Marcus. I just don't think they're as good as the Rams are. They're really not.
It's going to be hard for the Seahawks to defend the Rams on a short week. Like, they have so much going on offense with the play action and the misdirection. The defense has struggled anyways. It's a game that Seattle probably should lose, but I've been shocked before with the Seahawks, right? We talk about this team being resilient and it's like culture wins all the time. It would not surprise me if they pull off the upset in this one.
One other interesting thing about this game, real quick, before you leave it. Last week against Arizona, Matt Stafford missed several throws early in that game, and then Arizona just got hot, and the Rams were in catch-up mode the rest of the game.
Yes.
I know the Rams have had tremendous problems at running back in terms of depth. However, I think it would behoove them to help out Matt Stafford in a loud stadium early. And to your point, Marcus, about running backs don't matter, you don't say that running game doesn't matter.
Right.
You say running backs don't matter. Wouldn't you like to see maybe some more early down, early half carries for the Rams and not put it all on Stafford?
Yeah, I think this is a big Darrell Henderson game. I thought he looked pretty decent last week. I know Sony Michel is going to get his touches, but Darrell Henderson, I think, is going to have a big game here on Thursday Night Football. All right, our next game, it's a London game, so an early kickoff at 9:30 a.m. Yeah, a.m. Eastern time kickoff. Fantastic game. It's the New York Jets against the Atlanta Falcons. We just found out today that no Calvin Ridley due to personal reasons, no Russell Gage for the Falcons, so down their top two receivers. This line is currently Jets +3, so the Falcons are favored in this one. However, I would say make sure to shop around for the best lines because I've seen it move already a couple points in the Jets' favor. So what do you think about this one?
I actually wrote down Falcons by 4 in this game. That's how I see the game. So if they're giving the Jets 3 points, that's awfully close. I don't know how you see the betting angle in this game. This isn't really a game I'd want to bet on anyway, quite frankly. But
a 6:30 start for you. That's got to be fantastic, though, right?
Oh yeah. And then if you're in your family pool, just take the Falcons straight up. And by the way, it's official. I can't read my notes. Ever since I started practicing writing in cursive again, it's now bled into my printing. And, some people do a hodgepodge already of printing in cursive anyway. And so I've officially become that guy that has to stare at my notes. It doesn't help any that my eye doctor said it might be time for reading glasses. Actually, he said more than might.
Whatever. Yeah. All right. So I got a question for you.
Sure.
6:30 start on the West Coast.
Yeah.
What does your morning look like when you have these London games going on?
I really don't feel guilty about bailing on the first quarter and a half of Jets Falcons.
So you're going to be sleeping during the first quarter.
I don't know if I'm going to be sleeping. I just don't feel guilty about it. I mean, what am I going to miss? I mean, if I pick that game up in the middle of the second quarter, I'm fine. I don't want to catch it at the end of the fourth quarter. Believe me, I think a lot of people are going to skip this game. Let's be honest. This is not an attractive game. A couple things about this game, though. The Jets' red zone defense is actually one of the only things that's been keeping them in games. And you and I talked about yards per completion with Jared Goff last week. Mm-hmm. Matt Ryan right now averaging 9.2 yards per completion. I've been talking about dinking and dunking with this offense, but I wanted to give some numbers to it. So just for fun, I looked up probably the Falcons' second best quarterback in their team history. Matt Ryan is hands down the best quarterback that franchise has ever had. They've been around since 1966. Steve Bartkowski, the worst year he ever had was 10.8. which is significantly better. You're talking almost 2 yards better. And in the 1980 season, which was the Falcons' favorite season before they went to the Super Bowl, 13.8 yards per completion for Steve Bartkowski to 9.2 for Matt Ryan. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm shocked that you said that Matt Ryan is the best quarterback in Atlanta Falcon history because he's not. It's Michael Vick. I don't care.
Michael Vick.
Listen, I don't care what the stats say. He was everybody's favorite player when he played. He was so much fun. He also took that team deep into the playoffs, so give him credit for that. I know Matt Ryan did it as well. I know. Listen, I don't care about the facts in this case. Michael Vick was more fun to watch. So
hey, let me just tell you one thing about that, though. One guy that's forgotten, he had problems with concussions, but Brett Favre was actually this guy's backup was Chris Miller. They drafted him in the late 80s. He played into the early 90s with the Falcons. He was a pretty talented quarterback. I think he went to a Pro Bowl. He just had injury problems, just for those Falcons fans out there. All right, next game.
All right, it's the Miami Dolphins against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Dolphins are 10-point underdogs in this game.
Well, I have Bucks by 14, so I'm fine with the betting angle on that. Again, if you're in your family pick'em league, you're definitely taking the Bucks. If you don't follow football at all and you went to YouTube today to find something on men's health, I would say eat more protein. And if you happen to be in a family pool, the Bucks are better than the Dolphins, just in case you don't watch football.
They are better. That's a huge line, though. And I will say it was a very emotional game last week for Tampa Bay. They still have a lot of injuries, like in their secondary. It's not great. And remember, Brian Flores has years coaching against Tom Brady in New England and then in Miami. Like, he was always really good at getting Tom Brady to struggle. They've got some corners. I would not be surprised if this game is closer than what you think. I think I'm taking the Dolphins plus 10 in this one. No,
you hear that silence?
no, you're not in it.
That's what I think of your pick.
Okay.
I did say early on this year, I said, Murphy Bunting's a bigger loss than I think people think that he
and now
is.
Carlton Davis is out. So your top two corners. It's not like I love Miami's passing attack because I don't. We talked about it on Tuesday.
I hope you don't.
Methodical, right?
Yeah. Who's the best quarterback in Dolphins history? Just kidding. Let's go. What's next?
It is the Green Bay Packers against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. The Packers are only 3-point favorites in this game.
Yeah. So I wrote Packers by 3 here. So how about that? So I'm not betting on this game, or I wouldn't bet on this game, frankly. Again, in your pick'em league, I would take the Packers. That is a perfect line. Of course, I'm going to say that's a perfect line because that's what I picked the Packers by. So I think Vegas did its job. What do you think?
We got a little cool graphic ready to go for this one. Are you ready, Elliot?
Oh, here it goes.
It's just my lock of the week.
Yeah.
It is the Packers -3 over the Bengals. I just think they're going to win this game by a touchdown. I think the Bengals are certainly better than a lot of people think, and we keep talking about them on the show. But Green Bay is just a better team. There's a legitimate Super Bowl team, right? And I think that they're going to win this game by a touchdown, maybe even 2. Rodgers is playing super well right now. I just don't see a way that the Bengals keep it this close.
And I screwed that up. I thought you said the Packers by 3. The Packers were -3. So never mind. Just erase everything I said.
You thought the Packers were underdogs in this game.
Well, did you just say? Oh, excuse me. Now I'm all sorts of.
No. The Packers are favorites, and on the
Packers are favorites. I'm sorry. I don't know if I heard you say Packers +3 when we started.
No, Packers -3. That's exactly favorites, right?
That's exactly what I have. Okay. I don't know how I got screwed up there. One thing about Green Bay is they need to get more sacks. And early in the year, I was pointing out, I said, Marcus, Joe Burrow can't continue to get hit like this. I think he got sacked 10 times the first 2 games. He's only been sacked 1 time the last 2 games. Obviously, he had the surgery. He got hurt last year. I think in early December last year is when he got hurt.
It was a little before that, right? I think it was in November. Yeah.
Okay, or November. But my point being is we're not even 12 months
correct
from when he got hurt. And so I still think protecting him is at a premium. You and I are both high on him. I'd like to see Green Bay, though, get more from their pass rush. I think we should also say something about Jalen Smith here. The Packers were able to acquire him. This ain't fixing their defense. Yeah.
Hey, listen, he's a depth piece. Like, he might start a game or whatever, but he's not going to be the difference whether they win or lose the Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. I would actually be surprised if he's still a starter at linebacker by the time we get to the playoffs. I think it's not a big move at all. So
the Packers +3 or -3? Just
kidding. They're -3.
I'm
just
joking.
Relax,
Let's go.
Relax.
I'm kidding.
A big AFC South game. It's
huge.
Tennessee Titans are 4-point favorites against the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Don't have to worry about Urban not flying back home with the team in this one.
Oh, stop. I can't do it anymore. Well, what's interesting is the Titans are 29th in net yards per attempt on offense and 29th in net yards per attempt on defense. In fact, both of these teams are absolutely awful in net yards of pass attempt, which includes sacks and sacks yardage, as well as how many passing yards you actually get per attempt. That's the difference when you're dealing with net yards per attempt. I wrote that down because truly in this game, if you've got 2 awful pass offenses, then you want to lean on the running back. But as I told you last week, I felt like the Jags are not leaning on James Robinson.
Not enough.
Enough. Do you know how many carries James Robinson has so far?
This season, like 50?
49. Very good.
Yeah.
That's way too little. That's way too little for your best offensive skill position. But since you preempted me with the little graphic and you're trying to butter up Courtney, I am going to say that we have another graphic. A big fat red graphic. Can we see that one?
Do we? Oh, it's
stay away.
It's a stay away for you. Okay.
If you are laying money down on this game, then you are truly one of those people that goes to the war table in Vegas and bets on war, which I love the game War. It's awesome. But do not stay away.
This is one of my favorite lines of the week. I love the Titans -4. So I don't know what you're talking about. Derrick Henry, Elliott, in his last 5 games against the Jaguars, 790 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns. Like, he just obliterates this team.
Here's why I don't like it. Let's just take away the fact that neither one of these teams are good right now.
Okay, you
Let's
just completely dismissed my Derrick Henry stat.
I did because I saw it on Twitter. Okay, you're regurgitating it here, and
it's still a good stat, though.
I know it is a good stat. However, here's the thing, man. We've talked about what role emotion plays in football before, and how you have to be careful with analytics.
Yeah.
The Ravens-Chiefs game was a great example of that. Okay. The Jaguars either going to come out really flat in this game and not play for their coach, or it's going to go the completely opposite way. And I can't predict that. And the Titans aren't a good enough football team to mitigate that, in my opinion. Does that make sense?
How could they not come out flat? It seems like they were laughing at Urban Meyer's apology. The Titans need this game more than Jacksonville does, right? Like, the Titans really, really need this game to stay ahead in the AFC South. It's a gut call more than anything else.
Okay, but we know the Titans secondary is not good, right? Trevor Lawrence played. I can't believe we're spending this long on this game, but I don't mind it. I don't hate it. Last week, Trevor Lawrence played pretty well. That kid, how many games did he lose in high school and college?
So 2.
We're talking about a competitively great kid.
Yeah.
And if he's out there going, everyone is making fun of us, everyone's making fun of the head coach, and I can play better than I played so far, I could see him coming out and balling out. And let me tell you, this is a team he could do it against, Marcus. Yes. This is definitely a team he could do it against. That's why I don't like trying to pick this game straight up. I will take the Titans.
Okay. I'll take the Titans against the spread. All right. Next one. The New England Patriots are going on the road to Houston to take on the Texans. The Patriots are 8.5-point underdogs, according to the sportsbook I used. However, that line is moved to 9.5. So make sure you're shopping for the best line. But what do you think about this one?
I don't see any way you could take the Texans in this game.
No.
I just don't. I have no confidence in them now. I only have the Patriots winning by 7. 9.5 is way rich in my mind. New England just played a very emotional game on Sunday night. Mac Jones is still a rookie. As you've pointed out before, Houston has a lot of veterans on that team. That's just a little rich for my blood. If you're talking about 9.5 points, it's too much. That's another one that I would avoid. But New England easily straight up. And if that line comes down a little bit, then I would be more inclined to go New England.
Yeah, again,
just a little bit.
8.5, 9.5. It just depends on the sports book. I don't really care. I'm taking the Patriots.
Either way.
I just how many times has Bill Belichick dominated Houston over the last?
That's a good point too.
And then on top of that, Elliot, like, rookie quarterbacks really struggle against them. Like Zach Wilson, who was immensely more talented than Davis Mills, threw 4 interceptions. What is Davis Mills going to look like in this game against New England's defense? I just don't see a way the Texans score more than 10 points. So a 20-10 game for New England covers the spread, and you win outright. So it's just my feeling here.
Well, other than the leaf blower that's right outside my door, enjoy. Another thing that stinks equally is the Patriots rushing attack. 3.5 yards per carry, Marcus. It's an abomination right now.
Yeah.
I hate leaf blowers, by the way. Can I just say this? I mean,
this is what you get on the Power Ranking Show. You just get some random sounds in the background.
Let me tell you why leaf blowers are stupid. Number one, they don't do anything. All they do is blow leaves around. Like when I was a kid, we raked the leaves. We put them in a bag. My mom gave us like 10 cents. We definitely had the lowest allowance of anyone in our neighborhood.
Yep.
That's a whole nother topic that I'm still scarred about, but whatever. So leaf blowers, they're loud. Some of them are gas, which they're not even supposed to be using those anymore. I'm done with
such a good rant. All right, our next game.
Go ahead.
Next game, Philadelphia Eagles against the Carolina Panthers. The Eagles are 3.5-point underdogs on the road.
This is a tough game. This is a tough game for me because I have seen a lot from Jalen Hurts. I like both of these guys' mobility in totally different ways. Jalen Hurts has made some throws running to his right, Marcus. When we think about a quarterback's mobility, we always think rushing. And how well a quarterback throws on the move is really underrated, I think, in today's game. And then Sam Darnold, you pointed out, is leading the NFL in rushing touchdowns. You don't need to rush for 700 yards as a quarterback or be Lamar Jackson to be competitive and viable for your football team. And so I think this is going to be a really, really good game. What did you say the line was on this? Eagles are 3.5?
3.5, yep.
The over-under on this game, we haven't talked about any over-unders yet.
I got it for you. Do you want to take a guess?
I do want to take a guess because I think it's really hard. And I'm usually pretty good at this, but this one is a tough one for me. I don't know how much I trust either team's secondary, especially the Eagles, but I don't think Vegas will go too high. So I'm going to go at 49.5, 49.
So this is one where you say if you're off by a couple points to bet a different side, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's 45, Elliot.
I would go higher on that. Okay. I would go higher on that. Yes. Obviously, I just guessed 49. So that I would bet the over on this game.
Okay.
Would you?
I think I stay away from that, but I love the Eagles plus 3.5 here because I just feel like this is a coin flip game. And if the Panthers win by a field goal late, you still win your bet, right? So I could easily see the Eagles winning. I thought the Eagles played really well against the Chiefs last week. Really, really well. Carolina has got some major issues in their secondary. Shaq Thompson, who I thought might have been the best player on their defense last week, is also going to be out this week. He's
really developed, hasn't he? I mean,
yes.
He kind of got off to, I don't want to say a slow start. He played very early for them, but he wasn't really an impact player.
Correct. Boy. Now he's playing unbelievably well. He's out. So you're missing J.C. Horn. You're missing Justin Burris. You're missing Shaq Thompson. It's just a lot of injuries. I think the Eagles can keep this close enough where the 3.5 points is too good to ignore.
When I was doing my cursive print notes for this game, I accidentally had, at first, I had the Panthers at the Eagles. Mm-hmm. And I picked the Eagles by 3. And one thing you and I have talked about is you typically look at the home advantage is about 3 points, right? Mm-hmm. So that tells me this game is even.
Yes.
So if the Eagles are underdogs in this game, I'm all over that. Over that. More than the over-under. I still think it's going to be a little bit more than 45. It may not be as high as 49. But I actually like the line better than the over-under on this game.
That half a point is so critical because, again, if the Panthers win on the last-second field goal, you still win your bet. Yeah, just a great one. All right, our next game is the Detroit Lions against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are 9.5-point favorites. Lions, obviously, 9.5-point underdogs. Elliot, what do you think?
Well, I like the Vikings in this game. I know that I don't want to say you've been high on Detroit. That's not fair, but you definitely have thought that Detroit's been the best of the really bad teams.
They're just competitive, right?
They are. I have the Vikings by 7 in this game. That might be too high for you. I think their pass rush is going to get after Jared Goff. I looked at Jared Goff on breakdowns of 3rd and 7 and higher, and it's not good, man. I just wanted to read you these stats. 21 plays Jared Goff has been involved in on 3rd and 7 or higher. I'm not talking about where he hands off, where he either gets sacked, he runs, or he throws the ball. In 21 plays, they've gotten 73 yards. I mean, that's atrocious. And the part of it is 2 sacks. I think Minnesota is going to get after him on 3rd and long. And I don't trust Detroit's running attack yet enough to say, I don't think Jared Goff's going to be in 3rd and longs in this game. I don't know how I can, not only how I can pick them, but I don't see this being even a field goal contest.
It's one of these games like Minnesota, they're 1-3 on the year, and they're 9.5-point favorites. It seems a little ridiculous, but the Lions have lost a lot on their defense. I don't believe Trey Flowers is playing in this game. They cut Jamie Collins. Jeff Okudah is out. I just think the Vikings are going to be able to run the ball at will.
I think the Lions have some injuries on their front too, offensive front.
Romeo Cora is out. I'm probably staying away, but this is a game that would not shock me if it's 35-17. It really wouldn't. The Vikings can do that on offense.
Vikings have 13 sacks already. They have 6 additional hits on the quarterback on top of those 13 sacks. I think they're going to get after Jared Goff in this game.
All right, the next one is the Denver Broncos against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Broncos are 1-point underdogs in Pittsburgh in this one. I believe Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the quarterback. He practiced on Thursday. It's not official yet, but I would proceed with the thought that Bridgewater is going to play.
Hey, Courtney, can you pull up that beautiful red banner? And if you're listening right now, we just have a big red banner that says "Stay away." Stay away. Why? You don't know if Teddy Bridgewater is going to play. You don't know Ben Roethlisberger is going to be 2014 Ben Roethlisberger or 2020 Ben Roethlisberger. And according to Marcus, it doesn't matter either way. I don't like either team. The Steelers right now are averaging 3.3 yards per carry. And you say, hey, give the ball to Najee Harris more. It doesn't matter. He's averaging 3.4. Yes, it's a subjective stat. Not when you've watched this team. It's not a subjective stat. And it really has less to do with Harris, who I think is talented, Marcus. It has more to do with the front five. That said, they've got to give Roethlisberger more help than just dinking and dunking and dinking and dunking.
I agree with you. I think this is a stay away. I just think this is going to be like a bar fight type of game where it's going to be a lot of fights on the field. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be physical. Both defenses are going to play well. It's honestly, probably going to come down to like one or two big plays, like a pass interference down the field to Chase Claypool or a strip sack of Ben Roethlisberger. Like that's what's going to decide this game. And from a betting perspective, you don't want that. You don't want a close game like that. It's a stay away for me as well.
I will say this. This is another game I'd want to see the over-under because it better be low. It better be really low.
Go ahead, yes.
Let me tell you, if it's over 42.5, I would bet the under all day long, but I don't think Vegas made that mistake. I think they've got this closer to probably 39.5, which is one of the lowest over-unders you'll ever see. That's my guess.
39.5 it is. Yeah. It's good call by you.
Do we have time for an MTQ?
Sure.
I just made up that acronym on the fly. Marcus,
I was just going with it.
Marcus, theoretical question.
Sure.
Let's say Ben Roethlisberger goes, 10 of 22, sacked a couple times, 145 yards. Like literally, that's how bad he is. Do you pull him?
So he's typical Ben.
Do you pull him this week? Is this the week you do it?
I wouldn't have brought him back. I mean, that's the honest question. Honest truth, I would not have brought him back this offseason. I mean, yeah, you probably do. I don't think Mike Tomlin and the Steelers do because they care too much about legacies and that kind of stuff, and they don't want to hurt his feelings. But if you want the best chance to win, I don't think it's Ben Roethlisberger right now. I don't.
He sure speaks highly of your work. That was a bad MTQ though, because when I said 10 of 22, Roethlisberger would never be 10 of 22 because when you're throwing passes 5 yards past the line of scrimmage,
it would be like 17 of 22 for like 104 yards, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, hoping that a bubble screen goes the distance.
Yes. All right, our next game is a really fun one. It's the New Orleans Saints against the Washington football team. The Saints are 2-point road favorites in this one, Elliot.
Yeah, and I like that actually. I like the Saints to win this game. I would bet on the Saints for this game. Well, before I say anything else, I want to hear what your thoughts are because I have a feeling. Without you even saying anything, I have a feeling you're taking Washington.
I am taking Washington.
I knew it.
I think the Saints are the most Jekyll and Hyde team in the NFL. Like you have no idea what they're getting week to week. I don't trust them on the road. I don't trust them outdoors. The defense can be had in the secondary. I just think they should never be road favorites. So I'm taking Washington plus the 2 points.
This also should be a low over under. It better be. I don't see any way these teams score more than 46 points. The Saints defense has been outstanding. And by the way, Saints run defense has been second in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Marcus, I know you like to say, hey, look at the competition. Look at the guy. Not in their case.
No,
they played Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
They played CMC. They played Saquon Barkley last week.
Aaron Jones.
They've only had one respite from really good running backs. The Saints defense is legit. If they can get the offense going, I don't trust Washington right now. Antonio Gibson, I'd like to see him more involved in the passing game. He hasn't caught that many balls yet. So I'm going with the Saints. I actually wrote down that I like the Saints by 6 in this game.
Okay, well, that's the difference here. I love Washington. I'll take the Washington money line in this game.
What is the over-under, though, on this game?
Just 43.5. 43.
I knew it. It's got it.
We're going to say this every single week, Elliot. Taylor Heinicke, not bad. Like, he's a competent NFL quarterback. And if they can continue to get that, and if their defense can be better, because that's been the biggest problem for Washington so far. They've been so disappointing on defense. But I think they're going to get better, and I think this is the week they do it.
You know why he's doing so well? I think because he really knows how to bounce back. And I'll tell you exactly what prepared him for this. When you're taking math classes on Zoom, you've got to be resilient. Do you have any idea how hard it is to do cosine over sine with your TI-81 graphing calculator? Well, that's what we had. I know you kids probably were at the TI, 89?
Yeah.
TI-86, right. I don't want to be doing stats too on Zoom. It's bad enough in person. So no wonder the kid's mentally tough. I'm a big fan of his, by the way. Is that okay for me to say?
Oh, no, I'm a big fan of his as well. I just think
tough too, man.
He's one of these. I don't even want to call him a backup quarterback because he's better than that. But so many of these, let's say, like bottom 16 quarterbacks, like starting quarterbacks, they play afraid to lose, right? They play cautious, dink and dunk football. That's not Taylor Heinicke at all. Like he's going out there gunslinging the ball all over. He's sacrificing his body in the run game. I love it. I think it's really fun to watch. And they're going to win this week. I'm just letting you know.
One last note on that game.
Sure.
You know, sometimes when you're watching a game, like a national game, I think it was the Thursday night game. I think it was the Giants at Washington. And the announcer will say, in this case, would have been Troy Aikman, says something and you find yourself nodding your head like in full agreement. And then you realize, why am I nodding? Why, you know, it's like clapping in your apartment. But when he said that Heinicke gave the Bucs the hardest time of all the quarterbacks in the postseason last year, it was true. Yep. And it's crazy to think about when you think of the quarterbacks that they played.
All right, our next game is the Khalil Mack revenge game. It's the Bears going to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. The Bears are 5.5-point underdogs in this one.
Ooh. How do you feel about that line? Because I feel I'm going to guess again. I don't think you like it.
I do like this line.
Really?
I like the Bears a lot in this game. The Raiders have had some really bad offensive line play over the last couple of weeks. They've actually moved Alex Leatherwood from right tackle to right guard, which I don't really ever like doing with a rookie. Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn have like a combined 9.5 sacks this year. It's just too many points for me. The Raiders have gotten off to some really slow starts. And Elliot, they're missing 3 defensive backs, 3 starting defensive backs. I just think the Bears could win this one outright. So you're giving me 5.5 points. It's too many.
Well, I should have said, I don't think you like this for the Raiders.
I don't like this for the Raiders. It's a tough spot for them.
Well, it's also, I think it's imperative that Derek Carr gets protected in this game.
Yes.
No matter what. And so if you can protect Derek Carr in this game, Raiders win, period. How do you see Josh Jacobs right now? Because against the Chargers, he still doesn't look like Josh Jacobs.
It's because he's not. He is still really beat up. But the Raiders know they need him. Peyton Barber has a turf toe injury, so he's not going to play. Kenyon Drake's not an inside runner at all. They just need Drake for the threat of inside running. Excuse me, Jacobs for the threat of an inside rushing attack, but he's pretty clearly compromised.
You know, Derek Carr's been sacked 12 times already this year. That's kind of a lot. That's 3 times a game. You're talking about, I would say 48, but now at the 17 game schedule, that's going to be 51. I didn't need my TI-81 graphic calculator
there you go.
For that. That's great. The Bears have the worst third down offense in football, but they make up for it by being 1 for 7 on fourth down attempts.
Not really.
What's the over under on this game?
Go ahead and guess before I pull it up.
This is one that I usually ask you when I don't really know what it's going to be, because this is not a game that I'd want to bet on either, because I don't know what Justin Fields is for one, for 2, the injuries you talked about. So this game I'm a little less confident on. I think the Raiders win that outright. Let me just say that.
Yep.
I'm going to go, it's definitely under 50. So it's not going to be, even though the Raiders offense has put up a lot of points, I don't think this is a game they do that. And I don't trust the Bears to put up a lot of points, but it's not going to be as low as some of the others that we've talked about. So I'm going to go 45 even.
You're really close. 44.5.
Okay.
Not bad. Not a bad guess. All right.
Boy, next I get it within a half a point. I get, you're okay, man. You're okay.
I think this next one is the best game of the Sunday afternoon slate. It's the Cleveland Browns against the Los Angeles Chargers, 2 teams that we have inside of the top 10 of our power rankings. The Browns are 2-point underdogs in this game.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned our power rankings. If you mentioned a competitor's power rankings, that would have been really weird on our podcast.
Well, we do 2 separate power rankings. Go check out the game day for Marcus power rankings.
Listen, this is not the time for you to be plugging your own agreement with Capri Sun or whatever you've got going. Okay.
That'd be a cool little sponsor. Shout out to Capri Sun. If you want to sponsor the show, let us know. Big fan.
I'm a big fan too. Like poking those things was just the most fun. It was almost as fun as popping the little bubble things that came in a box, like when your parents got a box and you would just step on those little, Anyway, all right. So a couple things. We talked about Austin Eckler on Tuesday's show, and I posed a question to Marcus who he'd rather have, him or Zeke Elliott. So take a listen to that if you want from Tuesday when we did our power rankings. But Austin Eckler, dude, 12 receiving touchdowns since 2019, 164 receptions. I don't know if the Browns linebackers are going to be able to cover him. I like the Browns defense a lot. Their run defense has been great. Their pass defense has been great. But to your point, who have the Browns played, right? Tyrod Taylor got hurt in that game against Houston. Then they
were losing.
They went up against Davis Mills. Now, they did play Patrick Mahomes and they did play Kirk Cousins, but their middle game's not as much. I'm not sure if I can trust them against Eckler, and that may be all the help that Herbert needs in this game, because you and I both have a ton of confidence in Herbert. The Chargers' pass protection, though, just like the Raiders, is going to be huge in this game. It probably will decide the game.
Yeah, if you are a big football nerd and you like watching like specific matchups, Rashawn Slater, the rookie left tackle against Myles Garrett, is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I like the Chargers in this one, partly because I don't like the way Baker Mayfield is playing right now.
I'm with you.
Came out that he has a slight tear in his left shoulder, and it's been affecting him a little bit. I mean, this might be a theme of the podcast, but I'm just going to take Justin Herbert against almost any other team in quarterback because I think he's so good. So we're both on the Chargers here.
Yeah, this is one. How much do you have the Chargers by?
I would say 3.5.
Yeah, I was going to see if you would go all the way to 7 on that.
No. Because Cleveland's still going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be able to shorten this game. But I think they're going to win by at least a field goal.
Okay. One of the things that really, I think, helps the Browns in this game is, what do you want to do with a quarterback that's playing like Justin Herbert? Just get him less possessions, right? If you can keep him down to 8 or 9 possessions instead of 11 or 12, you have a much better chance. If there's any team that's well equipped to do that, Marcus, it's this one. They're averaging over 5 yards per carry. The Browns are putting up huge rushing numbers. If they can do that, they can win the game. And if Myles Garrett continues to win his battles, that's going to open up everything else for the guys on that front wall for Cleveland. So I don't think the Browns, I would not be shocked if they win this game, but I'm with you. I think the Chargers win. I think the Chargers win by 4 or 5. It's going to be a weird scoring game.
It's going to be a fun game, though. I'm really excited for that one. Our next one, it's the New York Giants going to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Dak Prescott was injured in week 5 last year against the Giants. He gets this revenge game. Giants 7 to 7.5 point underdogs in this one.
That's a little rich for a division game. I realize the Cowboys are a better football team, but I've also seen the Giants play Dallas very tough many, many times, as have you. We both like Daniel Jones. We think he's a little bit better than advertised. I don't know. And by the way, how are the Cowboys going to stop the run of the pass without Jalen Smith?
Just probably better.
That was humor.
For me, Elliot, this is a stay away. It's a big stay away. Hard. For a couple of reasons. You mentioned divisional games are weird. Jason Garrett has been always great in his division, throughout his entire career. Daniel Jones's passer rating is like 20 points better in divisional games compared to non-divisional games. So it makes me want to think that the Giants, especially if you can get that half a point at 7.5, they're going to be able to keep this close. And then there's this, Elliot, like the Giants were really close to being 3-1. Like if Dexter Lawrence doesn't go offsides against Washington, there's a win. Yeah, they should have beaten Atlanta. There's 10 different ways they should have beaten Atlanta. So I think they're better than what people think. But the reason why I'm not picking this game, just a little inside nugget. Cowboys are really fired up for this game. I have heard from somebody that Kellen Moore, the Cowboys OC, has an axe to grind because they feel like last year it was a little bit of a dirty hit on Dak Prescott, and they want to embarrass the Giants. So I'm just conflicted. That's all I'll say.
A couple things on this. We've talked a lot about it's really important sometimes to watch the games. And the last example we gave, I think it was Tuesday, was the Mac Jones performance against the Bucs. I think that with Daniel Jones. I think if you go and you look at the numbers, you may not be wowed, but he's not getting a lot of help, man. He's not getting a lot of help. And if you watch the Washington game in particular, I thought he was really tough in the pocket. The Cowboys defense has gotten a lot of highlight plays. Are they a suffocating defense that they swarm to the ball, but they're not a defense I would be intimidated to play against. You might need to be careful with the football. They've got 10 takeaways, but this should not be a scary game for the Giants. Over under on this game, I think, is also really tough because Giants Cowboys can go so many different ways. But in my opinion, this should not be a super low one. I think this one's got to be in the high 40s. Okay. I'm going to go 49 again on this one.
52. We're expecting a lot of points in this game.
That's too high. That's too high. I would bet the under on that. Yep.
I will mention Dak Prescott in his last 10 home games is averaging 34 points per game. He's, historically carved up the Giants. Would not be surprised if Dallas gets in the 30s once again. All right. Our next game, the San Francisco 49ers against the Arizona Cardinals. Another really good NFC West matchup. 49ers, likely with Trey Lance at quarterback, are getting 5 points in this game. Who do you like?
Well, when we talk about games to stay away from, I typically stay away from games where I'm unsure on the quarterback. So take it, for example, Bears Raiders. It's really hard for me because I don't know what to make of Justin Fields. So it's not that I'm trying to be curmudgeon and say, hey, man, you really shouldn't bet on any games. I just want to bet on the games where I know what to expect from quarterback play. This one is not one that I do. The Cardinals are at home. Trey Lance is a good athlete, Marcus. He was highly touted coming out. He's also played the least out of these guys. So that's a concern. I know Jimmy G said today that, his calf is just a little bit of a strain, but then Shanahan said that it was a bruise and whatever, sometimes we get too deep in that talk. Either way, if we go to the Arizona side of it, I think Kyler Murray is the MVP of the league. You told me the other day that you trust their defense in championship performances. If they were to get that far, if the Cardinals are going to be that kind of team, I feel like this is a game they have to win at home and not because the 49ers miss a field goal. Beat your division opponent at home with no weirdness or getting lucky. I'd like to see the Cardinals win this game by 7 to 10 points.
I've got the 49ers +5 because it is going to take a while for teams to kind of figure it out. I think the 49ers are going to have a really fun running game in this one. I think the defense is going to rise to the occasion, but I still like the Cardinals to win. So Cardinals to win, 49ers to cover.
Yeah, I could see this being Cardinals 24-21. I'm right with you. Right. Yeah, right. I'm right with you on that game. That's probably too low for the way Vegas sees this game, because that's only 45 points. But I do like the Cardinals to win. What I'm talking about is when you want to see what you think is a really great team, play like a great team. And we're going to get to that point with an AFC team here in a minute.
Yes. All right, let's go to the next one. Buffalo +3.
There it is. I didn't even know you were going there next. Yeah.
That's because it's our Sunday night game. The Bills are 3-point underdogs in this game. Ellie, I just want quickly on Buffalo. We talked about their schedule on Tuesday's show. It's not been a great schedule, but they have dominated teams. They can shut out the Texans. They shut out the Dolphins. You can only play who's on your schedule. But I was telling you pre-show, I think sometimes you can learn a lot from, good teams playing bad teams.
Absolutely.
You cannot take these teams lightly. You need to step on their throats early. And that's what Buffalo's done. So this is a really, really good team. I think these are the best two teams, I think, in the AFC. I know your power rankings don't reflect that, but that's not my power rankings. Those are your power rankings. So I like Buffalo in this spot.
Whenever you're done promoting, whatever. So with Buffalo, man,
I had the Chiefs, by the way, the same spot you did. I just wanted to.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, whenever you're done, they're second in scoring offense. They're first in scoring defense. Yeah. That's what you want to see when you play bad teams. If you continue to go along this narrative of, but they haven't played anybody, what do you want them to do? Win 73-0? That's only happened once, right? So I'm with you on that point. I am worried about this game being in Kansas City. That part stinks for the Bills. I see the Chiefs winning this game, even though I think the Bills on a neutral field are a better football team right now. I've got Kansas City winning this game outright.
Doesn't it feel like if the Bills are going to get over the hump, they've got to win this game? Because otherwise it's going to be in the back of their minds, hey, we've played Kansas City tough, but we just can't beat them. Like, if you want to be considered a legitimate Super Bowl champion contender, you've got to win this game. And I think they've got a great shot.
I don't like the idea of reining in Mahomes, even though he's made some wild throws as of late. And I really don't like it for this game because I almost want Kansas City to create a fast up-tempo track meet kind of feel, because Josh Allen still hasn't played great football.
No, exactly. You want this to be a 45-40 type of game because eventually Josh Allen's going to make more mistakes than Mahomes. I would think too. And Edwards-Helaire, since having the fumble issues, has actually played pretty well. The offensive line has did a great job in run blocking against the Eagles. But here's the thing, man. You start running the rock and you limit possessions, then you limit that opportunity for Josh Allen to play worse than your quarterback. And so I like Kansas City. I like Kansas City by at least a field goal. What did you say the line was on this one? Buffalo is 3-point underdog, so Chiefs are 3-point favorites.
That's a perfect line. That is a perfect line.
By the way, every running back drafted in the first round since 2017 is averaging less than 4.2 yards per carry this year, except for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So what do you know?
There's a lot of reasons for that.
This is not a show of context, so we don't have to get into that.
Okay. All right. We don't want to get into XO talk. How do you see? So if you're gambling on this game, how are you approaching the line and the over-under?
So the over-under is big. It's 56.5, which is a lot. I was going to
guess 57.
Yeah. I'm taking Buffalo because, again, I think it's a coin flip game. Getting the extra 3. If the Chiefs kick a game-winning field goal, you wipe your hands at the end and it's push, right? Yeah. I just think those 3 points are fairly notable. So I am taking Buffalo here.
I would take Buffalo on the line. The over-under, that's too high. It's a lot of it's not too high in terms of, I think Vegas has it right. That's just a tough one. I personally prefer to go with the lower over-under games. If I know you're not an over-under better type guy anyway. So
it's a little too random.
I have to force you to talk over-under.
It's a little too random. All right, our last game, the Monday Night Football game. It's the Indianapolis Colts against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 6.5-point favorites in this one, and I like the Colts, Elliot.
Yeah, the Ravens have kind of been escaping with their, what is that saying? Their chinny chin chin. I always forget. What was that? Christmas?
Yes, something like that. You should just stay away from phrases and sayings.
I agree. I'm kind of with you on this. The Colts, I actually have a lot of faith in Frank Reich, man. I think, I don't want to say he's going to turn it around because maybe the Colts already have turned it around, but Baltimore has definitely escaped. They beat Kansas City off of a great defensive play, punching the ball out.
Well, they were down 11 points in the fourth quarter of that game, right?
Yeah. We saw what happened in Detroit where Justin Tucker, double doinked, or not double doinked it, but he did the bounce off the bottom doink.
Which we never see. We never see which is hit the crossbar and go in.
Right, which is really hard. And again, if you went on YouTube today to, watch Bob Vila's Kitchens and Bathrooms or a segment on that, and you stumbled onto our podcast, the Ravens are a much better team than the Colts. They are. Straight up,
without a doubt.
Straight up, if you're in your family league, I take the Ravens. They're at home. But I'm with Marcus on the spread here.
Really quickly, the Colts are going to give their first round pick up for Carson Wentz if he plays over 70% of the snaps, or he plays 75% of the snaps and they make the playoffs or something like that. So basically, the question I was going to ask you, at what point, if you're the Colts, do you think about sitting Carson Wentz? Like, is it if you're 1-5, 1-6, or does it not matter?
I was going to say, if you're 2-6 and he's not playing well, if you're 2-6 and he's playing well, you don't, because the division.
And you have a franchise quarterback, right? The trade is worth it.
Yeah. And in the division that you're in right now, right, you've got the Jags who can't get out of their own way.
See, that's what's going to mess them up. I think that the division is going to give them some false hope, right? Because like you said, they could be 3-7 after 10 weeks, and they might only be 2 games out of the division, right? But is that the way you want to win the division? Would you want to give up a top 5 pick to get slaughtered in the first round? No, but in fairness, they've been pretty banged up. I think they need some more help outside, I think, in their passing game. Look, this is not all about Carson Wentz, but to answer your question,
I think that if your quarterback is playing well, you can't just be married to the standings. There's too many mitigating factors right now.
Yes.
And again, we've talked about this before. It's a 17-game season, right? Let's instead of doing 2-6, let's just go with like 2-4 or 2-5. What does 2-4 or 2-5 mean in a 17-game season?
Especially in that division, right?
Yes. I mean, the Colts could legitimately win the AFC South going 8-9. Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I think we'll know in this game, right? Like, if the Colts look really bad and it's just not working, maybe it's time to think about playing Jacob Eason or Sam Ehlinger just for a stretch, right? If you're 1-4 and a couple of those games have not looked good, and Carson Wentz already dealing with injury, you could phrase it as, hey, we're going to give Carson Wentz 3 weeks off to get his ankles healed up and just kind of reset his body, and we'll see where he is at by week 9, right? I don't know. It's so fascinating to me because there's a chance that pick ends up being inside the top 5.
They could have beaten the Rams, man. I mean, that's the best team they've played, and they could have beaten them. That's when Carson Wentz got banged up.
But they didn't look great last week either in their first win. That's what's so concerning about this team.
You know what? I'm with you on that. I would go, how is my quarterback playing? I'm evaluating the way he's playing, and I'm going to be less married to the statistic or to the standings on this deal. But the division is a huge mitigating factor. I guess this would lead to another question. Maybe we should talk about it on tomorrow's pod after we do a reaction to the Thursday night game is, if the Colts win the division and they get just pummeled in the wild card, what does that mean? Is that good for your franchise that you made the postseason? I mean, that's a theoretical question I've wondered for a long time. You go into the wild card and you lose 30-7. Well, who really cares?
Save that for tomorrow's show, because the Cowboys had a very interesting scenario like that play out last year, right? With Andy Dalton. Like, what was the benefit of trying to win a couple games at the end of the season? Because it actually cost them, and I'll explain it tomorrow's show, it actually cost them an additional first-round pick. But we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good.
How's that for a teaser?
Oh, you're doing a heck of a job. I mean, it's better than you teasing all your other content.
Yeah, the game day, Locked On Cowboys, Raiders Wire, just check them all out. All good stuff over there.
Yeah, and by the way, Marcus has a LinkedIn account too. Please go on LinkedIn, check that out.
Send me some messages. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, friend him, DM him on Instagram. He's a big fan of that. Sounds good.
Lots of pictures of my dog and smoking meat on there. So if that's what you're into, come on down.
So on Friday, we will do a reaction to the kind of cool Thursday night game. It's a better matchup than when we've been having. Although the games have turned out well, we will be back on Tuesday with our power rankings about 12 Pacific. And of course, we do our game picks every Thursday. We thank Brinks TV. I can hear the super cool synth music right now. That means I need to shut up. He's at Marcus Mosher. I'm at Harrison NFL on Twitter. We'll see you next week.